Hello everybody, this is, once again, nothing but a bunch of pretentious theoretical bullshit. I apologize for the sunglasses, but my face has seen better days. Should have seen the other guy. So I wanna talk a little bit about what it's like for me, as an atheist, to have a conversation with you, the Christian. Or if you're an atheist watching this, I'd like to talk about what it's like for us to have a conversation with a Christian, because there's always that point where you get to the topic of morality. Now, anybody who subscribes to me knows that I do talk about morality a bit, because I think it's an important subject. I think it's an important subject for an atheist as well as a Christian. But you always get to that point. And this is the exchange that I love, and I come across this a lot. I'll say something like, okay, you think that you get your morality from the Bible, Christian. Christian says, yes, of course I do. We all get our morality from the Bible, whether we know it or not. And I would say, well, no, you don't, because if you just look in the Bible, it says horrible things like stone a girl to death on her wedding night if she's found not to be a virgin, or, oh, you get the idea with that one. But there's always this response that you get, and the response is, no, that's the Old Testament. Things are different. You're not allowed to talk about the Old Testament in terms of morality, because ever since grace, and our ability to receive grace, it just doesn't apply. Morality isn't exactly the same. And I go, aha, morality isn't exactly the same. Doesn't that mean that morality is a bit subjective, or at least subject to context, and so on and so forth? And the Christian says, no. Morality is fixed. Morality is objective. It's universal. It's immutable. What is different is that the punishments for those morals have changed. And that is the only difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament. To which I would reply, nuh-uh. No, that's not true. When we talk about the Bible, and I just wanted to bring this up, the reason I am bringing this up is because I had this exact conversation with a friend of mine, who is a Christian, a very devout, moral, ethical guy, and by the end of this conversation, and this shocked me because I never thought that I would be able to articulate it in such a way as to be agreed with. But by the end of the conversation, he said, okay, fine, you're right, morality has changed. And I went, wow, I can't believe that worked. But given that, I want to bring this up. When we talk about morality in terms of the Bible, we're not talking about morality in the context that we usually use it in. For somebody like you or me, if you're an atheist, morality might mean something like how we treat other humans, or how we see our actions as being received by the community, or what is beneficial or not beneficial for ultimate human happiness and human suffering, and so on and so forth, issues like that. In the Bible, there's no word for morality. There aren't words like moral, immoral, ethical, unethical. You only have one standard by which to judge what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. And that standard is sin. And sin, in terms of the Bible, is defined as anything that falls short of God's standard of excellence, or God's standard of perfection. Sin is, in essence, anything that is against God's instruction, or God's prescriptions, or God's will or desires, so on and so forth. So if God says do this and you don't, that's a sin. If God says don't do this and you do, that's a sin. And that's the only real standard that we can use in a Christian theological mindset to determine what is moral and immoral. As a Christian, you better not be meaning anything other than that when you say those words, moral, immoral. So when you say something is immoral, you're saying that it's against a command that God gave. And that's pretty much all you mean. So So let's take a look at that in the context of the Old Testament. Let's use that one example, the stoning a woman to death on her wedding night if she's found not to be a virgin. There are two things going on here. There's the action, and then there's the prescription for the community about how to respond to that action. Morality in terms of the Bible isn't just about action, it's about reaction. Turning the other cheek is an example of that. That's considered a moral standard, to turn the other cheek. But that isn't just about do this or not do this. This is about how to respond when somebody else acts immorally first, or somebody else acts against God's will first. You can't separate those two. You can't separate the command, don't have sex before your wedding night, and then the other command, if somebody does have sex before their wedding night, you are to kill them in any other way, because they are both commandments given by God. If God says it, you got to do it. If you don't, it's a sin, and that's all you have for the word morality. So in a sense, if the punishment has changed, the punishment, which is itself a moral issue, a very moral issue in terms of Christianity, if all morality means is what God said to do, then morality has changed. Morality from the Old Testament to the New Testament has changed. It is not immutable. It's not objective. God has changed his mind, it seems. And if that is the case, then we have a lot more talking to do.